It's crazy that they're still coming up with like compelling Bloodline stuff. Like it's crazy, right? Like it's been 3 years. Surely they would have run out of ideas to keep us interested by now.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's been 3 years of like constant, incredible drama.
Yeah, we took a break after WrestleMania. It
Yeah.
died down very much.
But so did Roman. Like he wasn't
Yeah.
around. So like
Yeah, yeah.
the story kind of, it needs him. And there have
Mm-hmm.
been like little breaks here and there, but I'm just gonna come out and say it because I feel like people have been dancing around this idea for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is the greatest wrestling storyline ever done.
Wow.
This is the greatest. I'm
Wow.
tired of acting like it's one of the greatest, like it's one of the most recent greatest. This is it. This is peak wrestling
Mm-hmm.
cinema. Like the drama soap opera aspect of wrestling that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is part of what drew us all in as kids.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best version of it ever. Like it's the most consistent. It's been going on for the longest. I, I can't. I'm not talking about like in ring, like every match is 5 stars,
Yeah, yeah.
but like from a storyline perspective,
Yeah.
I cannot, for the life of me, think of anything that's better than the Bloodline story. I think we've reached a point
Mm-hmm.
where this is it. This is the great, and it's not even over yet. And this is the greatest wrestling storyline ever.
It's hard to not argue that, honestly. It's a great well point you were saying it to me in terms of just like how this is just one of the best storylines ever, and it is the storyline. I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's especially the modern era. Nothing
No,
comes
no,
close to that.
no, no,
But
no, no. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. I've
I'm
been
just
hearing this for months. It's one of Mount. No, 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 no. This is it.
no,
This
no, no.
is it.
I
In
agree with
my
you.
opinion, I just can't think of any storyline with like that's this layered, that's got this many
Emotional,
little like
sure.
character aspect. This is it. This
Yeah,
is like
yeah,
the
yeah,
best
yeah,
one ever.
yeah.
And I don't think that's not to disrespect any previous. I was a total Gargano versus Ciampa simp. I was all in on Undisputed Era, Viper in the Family. Like
Oh,
I loved
yeah.
all
Viper
of
the Hand was
those. The
good.
Stone Cold and The Rock, but that was more of like a rivalry, not really like a
An
like
actual story.
storyline thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Kenny and Will Ospreay, like Bullet Club has had plenty, but like this is it, man. We've reached peak cinema.
Yeah, this is cinema. Like this is a soap opera, TV, movie. Like they wish they could do this in like those like low budget films
Yeah.
and shows uh on like ABC Family or Lifetime, ID Network or whatever they do like the crime stuff. Like this is it's like yeah, it's like it's like the what was it, Goodfellas, but
Yes.
yeah, like you said it like before off camera and off podcasting, it's like Goodfellas. It's exactly like Goodfellas, and like I wouldn't be surprised like yo, what if we just do Goodfellas but Samoan
Well,
family and
see,
wrestling?
yeah, like that's the thing too, is like I feel like part of what's making it work so well is that they're purposefully taking inspiration from like movies and TV shows that we're all familiar with.
Right.
Like even whether or not you've seen them or like maybe you've just like heard little bits or seen scenes online or whatever.
Hmm.
But like I mean, they're not like this is not a wholly original idea in terms of like betrayal and like trust issues and someone wanting to be in charge and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But like they're borrowing from all those different versions of the story that's been done and they're using it in wrestling.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a time when it's ever worked better because of like they're all already family, like the Usos and Solo and
Hmm.
Roman.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it just I mean, they built a whole storyline out of someone trying to join the family who wasn't family. And like,
Yeah, and got accepted as family.
I know he was so trustworthy that the person who hated him the most and Jay ended up being the one who defended it. Ah,
There's so many twists and turns to this. It's amazing.
yeah. Yeah, we both freaked out when when Jimmy
Yeah.
super kicked Roman. I gotta be honest, I didn't see it coming at all.
Yeah.
Didn't see it coming.
Yeah, everyone thought it would be Jay. Everyone just thought it would be Jay. And like I don't know what's the right word, but like it's just it's not predictable, but it was, but at the same time it wasn't. Mainly it wasn't. Like for some, like, yeah, they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, I saw that coming."
It's
Did
like
you
it
read?
made sense.
Yeah.
Like predictable, I feel like sometimes is used as like a bad thing. But a lot of times in wrestling, it's like predictable is like sometimes good, where it's like, no, it made sense. So like you should ideally, if you're
Yeah.
predicting the outcome that makes sense, you would want that outcome to happen. Like we shitted on Vince McMahon for so long because he would like just pick random ass outcomes just because he thought, oh, it's too predictable. Like we
Hmm.
gotta fucking swerve everybody. And I was like, no, you don't always have to do that. Like you can pick the, outcome that makes sense. But in this instance, it made sense, and I
Hmm.
totally felt swerved. Like I just, but yeah, I get, it's because like the whole story, if you've been following this since the beginning, which is now a very long time ago,
Hmm.
like we have, the whole story has been different people trying to like trying to snap Jay out of it at different points.
Yeah.
Like even when Jimmy originally came back and it was like during that I Quit match, part of that original story was Jay trying to tell Jimmy like, no, man, it's cool. Like just pledge your loyalty and then like
Hmm.
everything's fine. Like he won't hurt us anymore, like all that stuff. So this is going back a long time. But yeah, what happened makes total sense. And it was,
Hmm.
I was thinking about this too, earlier today, but like when they were at the Royal Rumble and Sami Zayn hit Roman with the chair and like
Yeah.
the audio, the crowd broke the audio system or
Hmm.
whatever, and everybody was freaking out. And I remember thinking like, man, I feel like this is gonna be like we might never see a reaction like this again ever
Right.
for any angle that they ever do. And this was like 95% as close to that same exact
Hmm.
reaction. And I was like, I can't believe lightning struck twice. I thought for sure
Yeah.
like we would never experience that. And that's still special, like in its own
Hmm.
section,
Yes,
like
I agree.
pocket of this story. But it just shows you how like next level this story is, that they're getting these historic reactions multiple times. Even the reaction Sami Zayn got. If you watch the match in Montreal,
Hmm.
you're thinking he's never going to get a reaction like this anywhere else in the world. And of all places, it happens in Saudi Arabia, a place that he like wasn't even allowed to go.
And like they feared for him, and even I know, like obviously we Sammy's never gone on record saying he did or did not want to go. And Kevin Owens, we know he went on record or not on record. It was just like it was leaked somehow because or someone hears something saying like he wouldn't go because in support of Sammy. Yeah, even as I just realized, KO's going now because Sammy was okay with it.
Yeah.
So we just assumed that it was Sammy's decision not to go because especially his family originates from Syria and he has ties to Syria because he does Sammy for Syria stuff and like a lot of
Mhm.
people out there in the wrestling world, not just in the wrestling world, but people with kind hearts, donate to Sammy's cause. So yes, you know, we see you and I were just in awe seeing this, like him being just getting all this reaction, him coming out in the nice robe clothing. I apologize if that's not the appropriate term. Um, you know, and then he's just so happy. He's getting this reaction. It's just like, yes, this is what the power of wrestling and fandom and just rooting for a good guy can do. It brings
Yeah.
everyone together. And
Yeah.
it was just very heartwarming seeing that. And even then it felt great. Before that, we made the comments like, when Roman uh didn't have Sammy by his side because, Sammy wasn't planning on going as he should and as is
Hmm.
right. Um and everyone was chanting for Sammy. And
That
that
was
was
that
that
was
was the moment.
wild.
That was the moment where we knew like this is it. Like this is something they have something here. You have a
Yeah.
whole nation that essentially was against anyone from Syria, which is pretty much blatant discrimination. I'm not saying everyone in Saudi Arabia is discriminates against people from Syria. It came off that way, especially
Yeah.
with just the history that goes on. But we're not getting into that. It's just mainly the focus of how like the country showed up for one man in a
Yeah.
silly wrestling company that no one else really takes serious other than the dedicated millions and the casual millions blended in there as well who watch this and either feel something or just like, yeah, this is good, this is good, this is awesome. And
Hmm.
then again, like, the people who just like us who just been feeling it since day one and since the rise of this, it just meant a lot. And it came to full circle right here. And then you even said it. And I'll let you say, I don't know if you remember, you said they should do the rematch in
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia, basically.
It's crazy because yeah, I really did think, I mean, I still think 3 months ago, looking back, I think I'm always gonna look back. I feel like it
Hmm.
was a mistake. Still, I think Sammy should have won the title. Or
Right.
according to based on what Michael Cole said, these are still two different belts, or they're two different belts now. I'm not really sure, but
Yeah.
that stuff aside, I think based on well, this kind of leads into another point I wanted to make, but based on the reaction Sammy got from all places, a country that I was legitimately, I don't know about you, but even seeing him like in Saudi Arabia, I was still scared. Like
Mm.
seeing him like post photos and stuff, and I know that like the relations are supposed to be improved now, but I was scared for him because like there are
Mm.
lots of stories of people going to Saudi Arabia who say things they don't like about Saudi Arabia and they don't come back.
Yeah.
And I, can't imagine what sort of security or safety guarantee or something had to be made in order for Sammy to still go. Because this is literally like only a year ago that he was not allowed, so it's not like that much time went by.
Hmm.
But I did want to mention that like I was thinking back to some of these like international shows that WWE's done over the like last several years, specifically in Saudi Arabia. And
Hmm.
I noticed that they originally were kind of treating them as like glorified house shows. Sort of
Yes.
like what you said about like it feels like sometimes there's like these different levels of WWE fandom, and it felt like they were treating those shows as like these people are very casual. They don't really know what's going on. Like they still think Yokozuna's alive. Let's throw
Yeah.
some like random ass matches, get fucking Goldberg to wrestle the Undertaker or whatever. Like they don't
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
And it felt like real throwaway shows. And somewhere since like Clash at the Castle, they started treating, I mean, I'm not, still happens to be a quite a big creative change in there in terms of like the coincidence of when this might have shifted a little bit, but somewhere recently they started treating these international shows as just as important,
Hmm.
um, whether or not they were happening in the US or, Canada. Um, and I think that's really important because the fact that they did such a big angle on a Saudi show is really telling of like this belief or trust that WWE or Triple H or people around him have in the idea that it really is a global like entertainment company. Like the reach is not just a casual reach. Like the people in Saudi Arabia, if you were not paying attention to the Sami Zayn bloodline stuff,
Hmm.
you would not be cheering for Sami Zayn. You wouldn't be like losing your mind over Sami Zayn, who was like a jobber. He was like fighting Johnny Knoxville. Like you
Hmm.
wouldn't be losing your shit for him. So the fact that the Saudi crowd 2 years in a row was like going mental for this guy shows that they were paying attention. Like they've been watching. Like it's not just America or Canada that's been paying attention to the bloodline stuff.
Hmm.
Like this is really turned into like a worldwide story. So the fact that they did the solo angle of Clash at the Castle, they closed out the Puerto Rico show, even though it should have been Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, but they
Hmm.
closed it out with the Bloodline angle. They closed out the Saudi show with the Bloodline angle. Like it shows that there's a belief that these different parts of the world are just as locked in on these huge or the huge storyline
Yeah.
as what we deem as like hardcore fans here in America are. It's like that hardcore fandom is clearly has a much larger reach, I think, than maybe Vince McMahon thought it did. And someone like Triple H came in and either is like, I don't know, it just feels like he's putting more trust and faith that like the fans have actually been paying attention and they should be rewarded for that. They shouldn't need to just watch like a
Yeah.
bunch of guys in their 60s come out of retirement for one day to like barely remember how to wrestle each other. It's
Mhm.
like, no, you can give them real angles and real matches. And I just thought that was really cool. It's really
Mhm.
cool to see.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm trying to like just grasp everything still. Like, where do they go from here, though?
Mm,
Where do they go from here? Like,
got a lot
that's
of
the
options, man. I mean, we've heard like several thing like Luke and Ali said like the Usos versus Roman and Solo, Money in the Bank.
okay.
That'd be cool.
Hmm.
It kind of feels like they're in a position where kind of similar to, again, maybe a coincidence that the guy who was booking NXT is now booking main roster, but a lot of times in NXT we would always look at each other and be like, yeah, it doesn't feel like you could make a wrong decision here. Like,
Hmm.
everything makes sense. Any
Yeah.
any matchup combination would make sense. And I kind of feel like that's where they're at with this bloodline story of like, yeah, you could do another tag match. That'd be cool. You
Yeah.
could do, we've heard like Jimmy versus Roman. Um,
Acknowledge.
yeah, I mean, I think what's kind of nice too, and I think why that tag match was important was like the bloodline story is
Mhm.
ascending to this level of like, for better or for worse, because I'm sure I don't really like necessarily care that much, but
Right.
for better or for worse, it's not about the titles anymore. So you could get away with not doing Roman title defenses against, I don't know, Braun Strowman or like Bobby Lashley or like random people who have nothing to do
Hmm.
with this storyline. You could just like do, Roman Jimmy. You could do it for the title, but like we all know Jimmy's not going to win and we don't really care. Like the point is to see
Yeah.
them fight each other.
Yeah.
So
Go
they're
all
kind of in
out.
like a no lose to me. It feels like a no lose situation of like,
Sure.
I think the interesting match is going to be what they choose to do for SummerSlam. Because I think
Mm.
that's got to be a title match.
Yeah. Will it be Sammy? Will it be someone from the bloodline? Will it be Solo even stepping up to the plate saying like enough of this?
Yeah. All of those are great. I mean, it's crazy too, because like I kind of cooled off on Sammy, mostly because I was just bummed out. I was like, man, they really put this guy in a tag team.
Yeah, yeah, I hear
Um,
you. I was there
but
with you.
seeing him, yeah, like seeing him in Saudi Arabia and like seeing him still get such a great reaction, because I'm gonna be honest, sometimes these US crowds really suck.
Hmm.
It made me believe again. It was like
Yeah, yeah,
maybe they could do Sammy Roman too, and it would like, man, when Sammy and Roman were in the ring together, that reaction was hot.
yeah,
Like people wanted to see them fight each other
yeah.
again.
And then he left. He's like, no.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I didn't really think I wanted or cared about another Sammy Roman match because it did feel like
Hmm.
kind of one and done. Like, well, he got his match. We knew he wasn't going to win, and he didn't win. But now it kind of feels like I could go for it again. Like, even if he lost this time, because I've already kind of experienced it,
Hmm.
I'd be down to see it happen twice. Also,
Wow.
because there are more fractures in the bloodline now.
Right,
So
right.
when he lost the first time, he lost, I think, because he accidentally super kicked Jay
Uh-huh.
and Jimmy and Solo probably did something and then Roman won. But now there's like way more turmoil. I don't know. What do you think, man? It feels like they can't make any bad choices right now.
I think they could make one, honestly. Uh,
What would be a bad creative decision from here?
insert someone that's not part of this story and
Yeah,
like
like
beating.
Bobby Lashley versus
Yeah, exactly.
Roman
That's what I'm
for
saying.
at Money in the Bank for no reason.
Yeah, like someone has to face Roman. I mean, and let's face it, someone does have to face Roman for the
Yeah.
titles eventually. They can't keep ignoring that. I get that's why they put the heavyweight title in order to like, but SmackDown needs a champion because LOL brand split. It's still a brand split, and they have to
Yeah.
try to keep it a brand split, even
Yeah.
though there's two SmackDown stars who
Right.
fought for the
So now
fucking
there are
longest here. So
now there is a SmackDown and Raw title both on SmackDown apparently, but whatever.
I don't understand, but okay.
Yeah, the
Uh,
belt logistics are like making less and less sense.
their storytelling is making less and less sense.
Yeah.
However, with the bloodline, it's always made sense. It's just cooled down.
Yeah.
We were over it, but now it's heated back up. And the best scenario is keep watching the implosion.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, seeing Sammy and Roman again and getting that reaction was fantastic. However, in the States, like, and you pointed it out here in the United States, sometimes the crowd reactions aren't the best. What happened in Saudi Arabia, maybe they can capitalize on momentum and maybe Sammy is hot again, and you have Sammy versus Roman. However, this is where I think, in a way, this is kind of like not the right call and would be a bad decision. Is having Sammy face Roman for a championship and lose again. In my opinion, I think that's bad.
Mm,
And with what's happening with the implosion right now, it has to be one of the Uso brothers or all the Usos. You know, Solo
mhm.
and Jimmy and Jay have to factor into either facing Reigns and beating him for a belt or costing him a belt or
Yeah.
both. Uh, but it has to lead to that. It has to like not. It doesn't even have to be organic anymore. Organically, all people are over. Everyone is over again. I mean, they probably
Yeah.
always have been, but they're on fire again. It cooled off. You had a small flame hole, and now that shit is full ignition. It's a fire blast from Charizard.
Yeah.
It's there. What you do next is very important, I think. Yes, you could argue like whatever they do, it won't be bad. True to an extent, but it won't be as hot, maybe. Not as hot as if they do what we were speculating, which is right now there is like speculation that Rikishi's gonna be
Yeah.
gonna be
He's
on
teasing that
SmackDown.
he might show up Friday for the
Smack.
celebration.
And I think they should do that. And this is my booking, my fantasy booking is Roman should accept it and should actually have more people, like more elders, more Samoan dynasty era wrestlers on there, and then
Yeah.
beat the living piss out of Rikishi.
Ooh. Well, you
Give
know
him a
what's
crimson
funny?
mask.
It's funny that like this is like one of the few I have not been paying attention to the bloodline stuff after Roman took time off.
Yeah.
But one of the things I saw, I think either last Friday or maybe the week before, was that Roman was mad at the Usos for dedicating their tag team match to
Mm-hmm.
him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "What are you dedicating it to me for? I'm not a tag team wrestler. You should be dedicating it to the actual legendary tag team in our family."
Mm-hmm.
And he was mad at them for like overlooking what he sees as like tag team royalty. And then he dedicated the tag team match to the Wild Samoans.
Mm.
And then he lost. And like I'm pretty sure those aren't those the two that came out to originally crown him head of the table, like when he beat up Jay for the first time.
I believe so.
Came
Yeah.
out with the red, I
Yeah.
forget what the thing is called, but um I mean, you dedicate the match to them and then you lose. This kind of feels like a Goodfellas moment where they open the door for you and they're right behind you, and next thing you know, Joe Pesci's not in the movie anymore.
Yeah.
And it's I do agree. I think like the only legitimate like bad creative choice is number one contendership tournament for the to face Roman at Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
It's like who gives a shit about like it's like at this point you got to keep it in the family.
Yeah.
Like you got to keep because I think like well there's two things. I think that they have enough people in the family to legitimately like play this out over the next several months. Because if you think like, okay, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, those are the three that Roman's going to do before Royal
Yeah.
Rumble and then I guess WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And you can like fill in the other stuff, or he just straight up, you have a second title now. So, whatever, if he doesn't want to be on the shows. But I was
Yeah.
also thinking like, so yeah, sure, you could do, solo matches with no pun intended, but Solo and Jimmy and Jay, and then you could do like different tag team combinations. But I was thinking back to when the Shield was all in WWE at the same time, and they were all pretty over, like before Roman Reigns became kind of just super
Mm-hmm.
Roman. But one of the biggest missed opportunities, which I still can't believe, because when you think back at it, you're like, no, this must be a Mandela effect. Like, surely we're all just conveniently all forgetting or, remembering things incorrectly.
Yeah.
They never did a Shield triple threat at WrestleMania.
Oh
And it
yeah.
just felt like, that's like one of their most famous factions ever, one of the most
Mm-hmm.
successful. I mean, they made three superstars from that faction. That does not happen that often.
Right.
It feels like they could potentially craft the story in a way where they do a fatal four-way match between all four, or they do something where Jimmy is taken out and they do a triple threat, and then they have like, Solo is angry at both people, Jay's angry at both people, Roman's angry at both people. It just feels like there is some potential opportunity to do like a full family blow up match.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but one of the things that I did like about this particular angle was that, like, when Roman was on vacation or whatever,
Yeah.
uh the bloodline stuff, I don't like. I like it better when the Usos are written as two different people,
Sure.
Jimmy and Jay, and they each have different motivations and psychology and whatnot. And over the last like several weeks, one of the things that kind of made me tune out was that they were just the Usos again.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were doing Uso style promos where they would finish each other's sentences, and like, they were like one line away from saying Uso penitentiary and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that stuff back in the day before the bloodline, but I found them way more interesting when they were written as Jimmy Uso and Jay Uso and not the Usos.
Yeah.
And this felt like we were finally getting back to, they're two different people.
Mm.
Like, they didn't both super kick Roman. Jimmy did. And Jay is on the side, like, what are you doing? Like, he's gonna kill us. Like, please stop. And I think that's what kind of pulls me back in again, is like, oh yeah, all
Mm-hmm.
right, everyone has their own like psychology again.
Yeah.
And yeah, who knows? Maybe Paul Heyman jumps ship and backs up Solo, even though Solo's a good talker.
Yeah.
He doesn't, whenever they're ready to be done with the Solo is Umaga thing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for that to be over, because I've seen him in NXT, cuts a great promo. I think he's a huge baby face in the making, unfortunately. Like, not unfortunately, he like works in this enforcer role, but
Yeah.
he's just more interesting than this. And now they've like really just
Mm.
turned him into Umaga, which is whatever, it's getting the job done.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, but there's just so much potential, and it's fun that, like, I'm interested again. I'm interested to see where it goes. And
Mm-hmm.
also, this was a great match. This was like a fantastic tag team match. Finally they shifted the formula of like the ref bump, and then the Usos get involved, and instead this time one of them turns on Roman and costs him the match, instead of the like 15 times that it's been Usos
Yeah.
intervene, and then the ref's not looking and they do something and then Roman wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Um,
exciting.
yeah, it's exciting. And I want to see the brutality. There is going to be a big deal. Um, there's going to be a big, like, what's the word? There's just going to be reparations. There's going to be reparations for the actions of the Usos, and that's what I'm excited for. And it sounds sadistic in a way, it sounds evil, but like it's just story, all right? I'm excited what
Yeah.
Roman's gonna do next. And I have a kind of going back to what I said, like if Rakishi's there, and he should, it would be great for the damn story.
Yeah.
Be great for the fucking story, man. If it's fantastic, if he just beats the living piss out of him, and he
Ah,
tells, and the Usos can't do anything about it, or they do, but he just drags them. He drags their father away and is like, "You did this,
ah,
Jimmy." And he doesn't say Jay. He says,
yeah.
"Jimmy, you did this. Jay, you could
Good.
stop this." And it's all over again. From
And it's also so good because there's been like this consistent thread with Roman's character where
yeah,
nothing that's bad that's happened has ever been
mhm,
his fault.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
like even when he speared the ref, he
yeah.
looked at Paul Heyman and was like, "What's this guy's problem?" I was like, "You
Uh-huh.
did it. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?" It's just like when like I remember when he and I think Sammy, it was him and Sammy versus no, yeah,
Mhm.
versus John Cena and someone, Kevin Owens or something,
Oh, okay.
back in December.
Oh, right,
Uh,
right, right.
and when Roman lost, which I mean, Sammy's the one who got pinned, but if you lose as
Mm-hmm.
a tag team, you both lost the match. Roman's
Yeah,
like, I didn't lose. Sammy lost. Like, it's
yeah.
like
He
it's
took the pin.
never his fault. Like
Yeah.
anything that's gone wrong, Roman is pointing fingers at anyone else. It would make perfect sense if
Mm-hmm.
he beats the shit out of Rikishi and he's like, "Look what you did, Jimmy. Look what you did. You broke up this family." He said that to Sammy when
Yeah.
Sammy hit him with the chair. He's like, "Look what you did. You broke up my family." It
Mm-hmm.
was,
Yeah,
man,
it would be excellent. It would be fantastic. And just like seeing Jay like just like conflicted and he's like,
uh,
what to do? Save my dad or hurt my brother? Save my dad or hurt my brother for this
right, yeah.
family. I was like,
Jimmy
ah,
tries to intervene and like Jay has to like hold him back or something and
mm-hmm.
just let Roman beat the shit out of Rikishi. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, it'd be so
It,
good.
it would be so good, but we're just, speculating, speculation city here.
Yeah.
Fantasy booking. So like there is not a clear answer, but there is some good options of what can be done moving forward with this story, and it's all exciting stuff. And I'm here for it. I'm
Yeah.
back in. I think Chris is back in. He definitely tuned out with all the Vince McMahon stuff, and
Uh,
but
but the no clear answer is part of what draws us back in.
yeah, yeah,
It's because we
absolutely,
don't know where it's going,
yeah.
but we also care. We're like, wait, what's
It's
going
like
on
why we
here?
keep watching the Royal Rumble, even though it sucks every
Dude.
year now.
Yeah, it's just been getting progressively worse. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's the not knowing. I mean, that was one of the things that drew me into NXT for so long was like all of the potential outcomes making sense. And I was like,
Mhm.
damn, I guess I got to tune in to see which one they go with because like I can't figure it out. Usually when Vince was booking, it was like, yeah,
Mhm.
we know who's gonna win, who's gonna lose, like, and with Vince didn't book that many storylines, at least not ones like
Mhm.
this that last for like 3 years. And this is just it's reached a point where and I'm kind of back to like trusting. I remember I said this like back in January or something after the Royal Rumble, and
Mhm.
I was like, I'm just along for the ride, man. Wherever it goes from here, just feels like I trust Triple H to make the right call.
Mhm.
And there is a part of me still like if Roman had lost the title by now, it's like, would this be hitting as hard? Because
Mhm.
it's not really about the titles anymore, but I don't know. So I think there's a part of me that's like, did they still miss a chance to put the belt on Sammy or Cody
Mhm.
and this storyline would still be just as good? But I can't say for sure. So like, I know a lot of people were mad about Cody losing at Mania, but I remember when Drew lost at Clash of the Castle, and
Mhm.
I would point to that moment a lot and be like, well, look, if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't have gotten the Sammy stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff wouldn't have been as like chaotic and magnificent as it was. So when I
Mhm.
look back at some of these losses where it's been like sometimes frustrating, but then you look to the angles they book after and you're like, you might have had to lose, man, because without you losing, like we might not have got this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm back in. I'm excited to see what they do on Friday, which is just as a wrestling fan, it's a fun feeling to care about the weekly TV because,
Yeah.
sometimes we just fall into watching the pay-per-views and then tuning out for another 6 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
excited.
I'm excited, and we're also excited to be watching uh AEW
That's
tonight.
right, the real wrestling company.
The
All right.
real,
The man's wrestling
the
company.
T-shirt
Time
company
for the
that
kids to
started
go to
all.
bed. It's a man's time now.
We're gonna try watch both NXT and AEW at the same time. We're gonna do it. I'm telling you, we're gonna try and do it.
Maybe if they really are being nice to us, they should stagger the bathroom matches.
Mm.
So like Tony obviously is going to be booking the women's matches are going to be the
Hmm.
bathroom matches.
Yeah.
So when he puts those on, then NXT can do Dijak versus Ilya, and we can
Mm.
just tune over to that because that'll be a banger. And then we can tune back over when NXT is doing whatever match we don't even care about.
Right, exactly.
Maybe it'll work like that. But yeah.
Maybe, maybe. We'll see. But that's gonna do it for this episode, I believe. And we will catch you guys in the next one. Stay awesome, stay amazing. Give us a 5-star review. And hope you guys enjoying the wrestling ride and the reignitement of the bloodline because it is some good S word.
Yeah,
All right.
let us know what you think. Are you guys back in? Are you still
Yeah.
interested in
Where
the
you
bloodline
always you
stuff?
never left. You never
Ooh,
left. I never
even a
left.
day
I
one?
never left. I was
Day
always
one
here.
ish?
I was always day one-ish. I'm still day one-ish. I'm
Down
still here,
since
damn it.
day one.
That's right.
Oh.
But that's gonna do it. Go to bed.